Hey everybody, welcome back. Well, now that the storm has helped me remove the tarp from the Jeep, I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave it off, not put another one back. It's the first, or what is it, the 1st or 2nd of September, and we're going to probably have one more little heat wave, and then in a couple of weeks the heat will be backing off. At least that's how it normally is here by mid to late September. So instead of being 110 out and 5% or 10% humidity, it's now 95 and 50% humidity, and I don't want to be out here if I can help it still. So let's do something that I've wanted to do for a while now. You can see this top plate I put on. I forget the name of the company that made that stainless steel. Rugged Ridge, I think, made that. I really like it, but I want to make a cap for it. Right now you can see that it's just got a towel stuffed in it. That's just to keep all kinds of debris from going in there when it's sitting like this. So I'm going to make some kind of cap for this. Now I measured it. My inside is 14 and a quarter and I'm an inch high. So let's go into the 3D printer, and I'm pretty sure my 12 by 12 printer, I'll have 14 and a quarter inch if I go diagonal on it. So let's go into Fusion, let's design something, and let's see if we can't figure out how to make something. And I'm not trying to keep all the water and stuff out of it, just trying to keep the bigger chunks of debris and crap and 70% of the water out of there. So let's go in and see what we can do. Okay, so here we are at Fusion 360, and I haven't done a Fusion 360 video in a long time, mainly because nobody was watching them. So I'm just going to run through this real quick because nobody likes to watch Fusion 360 tutorials for some reason. At least doesn't like to watch mine. So the first thing I did was I went to Modify and change parameters. And if you click the plus button up here, you can add a user parameter. And when you do it, you put in the name of it. You can see I gave them names like base width, plug width, shelf depth, wall thickness, things like that. I left it in millimeters because that's what my 3D printers and all the software for that uses. It's easier to convert it now and do it now and stay in millimeters than it is to do it later on for me anyway. And under expression is where you put whether it's 10 millimeters, 20 millimeters, or whatever. You say okay, and then you have that parameter. Now, I don't get them all in correctly at once at the first. I have to come back and add some in and take some out that I don't use, and change the actual expression amount so it's something that it is what I wanted. And after you do that, after you get your parameters all in, why didn't that come up? Change parameters. It's not coming up now for some reason. Anyway, after you get all your parameters in, save it. Because what I used to do way too much is I would put all my parameters in, then I'd start to make my first drawing. I'd get frustrated because it wasn't what I wanted, and I'd hit undo a bunch of times, and I'd undo all my parameter entries, which was really annoying. So after you get your parameters in, save it. So as you can see here, I've got my down here at the bottom. Whoops, down here at the bottom is where your history is. I have my history slider all the way over to the left, so I'm going to walk through it with you. The first thing I did was create a sketch, and I just made my sketch a center rectangle, and this width up here, when you see FX, it means it's getting that dimension from someplace else. You didn't just type the dimension in. I just didn't type 366 in. I picked it from my parameter list, and you can see that one is called base width, and over here is base height. And then let's finish the sketch. And then the next thing I did was hit E to extrude, and I extruded that up my wall thickness amount. And if you go to, if I say edit that feature, you see I left it pretty much everything what it is, and I just told it I wanted to extend up wall thickness. So now I actually have a 3D object to work on, so I created another sketch on the top of this surface. The first sketch I created on the plane, and if you when you got a blank sketch and it pops up I'll put my origin in. There it is. And I just use this bottom plane, and then I design it the way I want it to print up from the print bed. And that way, when I go to post it on Thingiverse, I'm not going to have to give people instructions on how to rotate it to make it print the best. So I printed on this bottom plane. They call it the top plane, but it works out as the bottom plane. So anyway, that's that. Let me hide the origin again. So I created a sketch on the top surface of this, and we're going to look at that next. And here is my sketch on there, and you can see this one's a bit more complex. It's just not a simple rectangle. I've got two rectangles in here. I've got the one for my plug that's going to go inside that cowl vent, and that is from there to there. And I used these parameters here: plug width, plug height, things like that. And then the other little rectangle here, this is the one that's going to project on the outside of the vent and just as kind of a hood. And I called that, that's probably wall thickness in there, wall thickness in there. I called that dimension, if I can get to it. Where is it? I don't know. I don't see it. So anyway, I called that projection or shelf. I called it shelf. So, and then I have a small gap in here where the piece of sheet metal at the top of that cowl is going to go. So let's do some more extruding. The next thing I did was I extruded up that plug that's going to go inside up, and you notice it's the base of this does not extend down here because that's going to be against the bottom, but it's going to extend out the side and out the top, and that's going to be what keeps it from falling in. Not that I couldn't get it, but I don't, well, it would be no fun to get to if that fell in, would it? I could, but it still wouldn't be fun. I still wouldn't like it. And then let's zoom back out. And then the next thing I did was I extended up this little shelf piece, this little hood that's going to actually come out. Come on, do what I want. It's going to come out over the top and just hopefully keep most of the rain and dust and dirt and all that from getting down in and getting down into that plug. Just one more means to keep it out. And then I threw some fillets in because I like fillets. Now I'm going to have to print this on my AlphaWise U20, which I have not used for quite some time. It's kind of gotten stored away and covered, so I'm going to have to drag this back out. I still have a AlphaWise U20 OOB. Normally I make OOB out of box. I wonder what the difference is between the regular one and the one I called OOB. I don't know. Sometimes I mess around with these things. I'm not sure which is which or why I would do that, but I don't remember. It's been too long. So let's load this in. And we were on the desktop, CJ cowl plug, and of course it's going to tell me it's too big, but I need to drag it over and I need to rotate it. So we are going to rotate it, and we're going to rotate it like this. And I shouldn't have any problems printing that. Couldn't have done this on the Ender 3 or anything else. Let's go back to move and let's see if we can't center that a little bit better. Mouse is a little too touchy for this. I like that right there. And I'm set to extra fast. 0.28 extra fast should work on this just fine. Let's slice it, see how long it's going to take. 2 hours and 33 minutes in Cura, which means it's really going to be probably about 4 hours, because that's kind of what Cura seems to want to do to me. Anyway, it should print fine just like that. What do I have? The wall thickness, all that is all fine. I don't care about any of that. And you know what? This one's not going to fit. If it does, I'll be shocked. My version ones almost never fit. When they do, I am shocked. But hopefully it will be close enough that I can come back and tweak it and get a version 2 that fits. If I'm unlucky, I'll have to go to version 3. If I'm really unlucky, there'll be a version 4. And I also noticed that when I looked at the cowling actually has a slight curvature. This obviously does not have a slight curvature. I could have put one in, but you want to know something? For something like this, it's almost just as easy to leave it sit out in the sun for an hour and then just bend it into place, or heat it with a hair dryer and bend it into place. So that's what I'm doing. We'll see if that works. And I just wanted to see what my infill was. Infill set to 25% cubic. Let's do a preview on it and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm fine with that for a version 1. So I'm going to get my printer up. I'm going to have to check the level on it since I haven't used it. Hopefully it still works. I don't know why it wouldn't. And we'll get this printed and we'll see if it fits. Okay, I have the printer all set up and working, and if you guys wonder why I don't keep this printer out to use, I really like this printer. It has always worked great. I've really never had any major issues with it. I have done some minor upgrades. I put some big knobs down here on the level thing. I got my typical old school mirror and hairspray on the bed. I did upgrade the stock feeder with one of the dual gear Creality style because I like them. But the main reason I don't use this very often and keep it put away is just because how much space it takes up. With the separate control box and all that. And of course I made the spool stand with the bearings on it, the skate bearings on it. But it just takes up so much space. Another reason why I don't like this because it uses the micro SD cards in this little hole in the sheet metal side, and I think there's already 2 of them laying down in there. I haven't felt like pulling the box back apart to retrieve. I almost stuck this one down in there too. So anyway, I have got this on here, so we are going to go to Files and cowl plug. That kind of, yeah, you know what? Let's not think about that too much. We're going to say open. Are you sure you want to start printing it? Yes. And away we go. It was already, I checked the level and it was perfect. One of the nice things I always liked about this printer, I mean, besides the fact that, yes, you did have to level the printer, it has the functionality on the screen that just sends it around to the different locations, so you don't have to manually do it. And if I didn't mention it, this is just white Duramic PLA filament. And we'll see what we shall see here. So we are a little over 1 hour into this print, and so far things are looking pretty darn good. I got my little gap there where the sheet metal at the top of that cowl is going to go. Probably a little bit more infill than what it really needed, but filament's cheap, who cares? Okay, it is all done and it looks pretty good. It printed it really nicely. And it only took 2 hours and 52 minutes, so not as long as I thought. So this is mirror and hairspray, so I'm pretty much just gonna have to let it cool down before I can get it off. I admit I've gotten spoiled by that bendable plate that I have over on the Geeetech A10M, where I can just take it off and bend it and it pops right off. This one I'll probably let cool a bit, and it'll probably pop off on its own. Okay, I did get it off of there. It was a little bit of a struggle. That was a fresh coating of hairspray. I did kind of crack it a little bit. As you can see, I don't really care about that because I'm reasonably certain that this one's probably not going to work. I don't think I left enough of a gap in there for the upper sheet metal to fit in. But yeah, let's go try it. Let's see what kind of adjustments we have to make to get one that works. Okay, I know it's going to be hard for you to see at this point. And you know what? It's hard for me to see at this point, too. But let's see if this even gets close to what I wanted. Again, that upper ledge, I need more space in there. Let's go around to the other side. I want to see if the height looks good. I want to see what my length looks like. You know what? My length even looks doable too. I think my only real concern is that slot for the sheet metal to fit in. I think if that was right, I think we'd go. I think that would work. I'm gonna set the camera down here for, you know what, let's do. I keep forgetting sometimes that this selfie stick has a tripod on it. Of course, I can't see out here with the sun in my face what it's actually pointed at. Who knows? Don't go in there. Oh, don't go in there. Jeez. Tell you what. Yeah, see, that's the problem. I'm not fitting into that slot. The width is okay, I think. Yeah, the width is okay. I think the height may be a bit of a problem. I won't go in down here. I think the problem is, yeah, I need a bigger gap. I think everything is perfect except this gap up in here is too tight. Sheet metal does not want to go in it. So let's go back in and let's think about what I need to do to fix that. Okay, so I was pretty happy with that for a version 1 part, but what I want to do is I want to increase my wall thickness from 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters, and I'm going to increase this gap in here. I think I have it set to 2 millimeters, but I'm going to increase it to at least 3. I want it to fit snug, but I don't want it to fit, I don't want to have to force it in because that's just going to break this off. I'm tempted to make this whole outer quite a bit thicker to give that strength, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to up everything by 1 millimeter. So let's figure out how we're going to do that. I'm going to go into modify and change parameters, and I need to change my base width from 366 to one more in the middle and one more on the end. So I'm going to go from 366 to 368, and let's see if that will give me the desired result down there. And it did not. Or did it? Well, maybe it did. You know what I should have done? I should have measured that first. Let's do Control Z, and let's see if Control Z makes it obvious what happened. I don't think it did what I wanted it to do. So let's go back to modify and change parameters, and I'm at 366. So that didn't do what I wanted it to do, and I changed the long way. Yeah, it won't work. I wanted to change the height, didn't I? I want to change this distance, and I have that set as height, not width. The width is the long way. Okay, that was all me. So I need to change this from 28 to 30. So 30, and enter, and let's watch near the bottom of that part to see if it does what I want it to do. It did and it didn't. It made my gap bigger, but it didn't make that part thicker. Let's change wall thickness from 2 to 3, and let's see if that does it. Also, I want the bottom to be thicker as well. So we'll change that from 2 to 3. Guess what? That did exactly what I wanted it to do. I have the bigger gap. I have the bigger gap in here. I have the thicker base, and I have the thicker shelf. I think that's all it needs. Also worthy of note, when I loaded the part back into Cura, I also upped my wall thickness so that this upright piece, this shelf or overhang, whatever you want to call it, is solid. I made it 1 millimeter wider, and that was going to put infill in it, and I didn't want infill in it. I wanted it to be solid. So I upped my wall thickness by a little bit, and I was also getting 3 top and 3 bottom layers, which is way more than this needs. So I changed that so I was only getting 2 bottom and 2 top layers, and I also cut the infill down from 20%, or excuse me, from 25% to 20%. Okay, our next part, version 2, is well underway, and you can see I have quite a bit thicker base, and the shelf is quite a bit thicker, and I have a bigger gap in between for the sheet metal top of the cowl vent to go. And also you can probably see going from 25 to 20% infill really didn't make any noticeable difference at all. So we'll wait till this one's done and we'll see if it fits. I got high hopes for this one. Here is our new one here next to the old one here, and I guess you can see the difference. It's kind of subtle until you realize what it is, then it's kind of obvious. It's about 7 p.m. Let's go see if it's light enough to test it. I guess there's still enough light out to give it a try. I got it sitting right there. Let me get the tripod out and let's see if we can do this. No, I think it went. Did it go in? Kind of I think I need a gentle persuader. There we go. Wow, that fit pretty good. That fits pretty good. That's pretty nice and snug. I'm pretty pleased with that. Yeah, that's real snug. All right, I like that. That turned out really well. Anyway, I'm pretty pleased with that version 2 product, and it fits. And yeah, I mean, I doubt anybody else will want this, but I'll upload it to Thingiverse anyway. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.